Johnny Walker just pulled off a career-saving upset over Zhang Mingyang. He shot himself into mount, but somehow pulled off a miraculous win with some leg kicks. If you didn't wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch the entire UFC Shanghai fight card, don't worry, because I did. My name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to recap every single fight from UFC Shanghai. Before I jump in and give you my opinion on every single fight, give us a phone call. Leave us a message with your opinion. You're probably waking up right now, sitting on the toilet, doing a little bit of a boom boom while drinking your coffee, wondering what the hell happened at UFC Shanghai. But if you already know what happened and you have an opinion, you want to leave a voicemail, here is the phone number, 1-866-WE-WANT-PICKS. That's 866-939-2687. Betting-wise, not a great card for your boy. I kind of got smoked, if I'm being honest with you. Wasn't a good card overall for me. Missed the Kevin Borjas underdog. Michel Pereira that guy's sold. I don't know what the hell is going on with Michel Pereira there. That was a bet against his opponent. Kyle Daukaus still sucks. We'll talk about that fight in a little bit. Nueraji looked phenomenal. Zhang Mingyang got his leg kicked out. Overall, a very fun fight card to watch. A couple of boring fights in the main card, but overall a fun fight to watch. The bets weren't there today. If you're going to have a bad day, it might as well be at a random 2 o'clock in the morning Chinese fight card. But luckily for me and some of you, the last couple of months have been spectacular. One bad morning doesn't undo all the good work we've been doing. The last 8 fight cards, that's 2 months worth of fight cards, over 5 units of net profit, a 13% ROI. That did get dragged down, obviously, with the catastrophe that was UFC Shanghai. Jacob had a great night. Bet Sam hit his slam of the week. Overall, mixed night. Couple of bad takes, couple of great takes. If you want to check out all the bets, just hit pause here and dive in. Let's talk about the upcoming fights. We just got UFC Shanghai behind us. And I say behind us because it was a 2 o'clock in the morning fight card. I assume the vast majority of people placed some bets and didn't watch the actual fights, and then they woke up to see what the hell happened. But we are past that turn. The next 2 months are going to be spectacular. We have 2 pay-per-views in October. September gets us UFC Noche. September gets us UFC Perth. September gets us UFC Paris. We've got a bunch of really cool fight cards coming up. So if you want to check out every pick, every bet, every tool, everything for these fight cards, just go to WeWantPicks.com. It is all there, ready to go. The UFC Paris picks, bets, and everything else are already up on the site. Let's talk about the actual fights. We opened up with a couple of sloppy light heavyweights. And my original breakdown here, if you remember, if you watched my breakdown before these fights, I said Diyar Nurgozhay was a sloppy, hittable loser bum. And those notes, hittable loser bum, were raw notes that I took watching his original UFC fight. But then I broke it down. I said, honestly, I might have just been upset in the moment. And that breakdown shouldn't really apply. Let's give him a fresh start here. I think he could have some success in this fight. Nah, the guy's a hittable bum. He's a hittable loser bum. My in-the-moment raw notes were 100% correct. We will never ignore those again. Instead of railroading Diyar, let's talk about how good Uran looked. First of all, dude's big. He's fast. He hits hard. He's got good grappling, good striking. Uran is a nice little prospect here in the light heavyweight division. He looked great. So he dropped Diyar. Then once they got on the ground, a little bit of a scramble, he ends up pulling I assume it was a Kimura. It was off his back. So yeah, it was a Kimura. He rolls it through. It was a really fun exchange. This isn't the finish. This is the Kimura. This isn't the finish. They end up in a scramble. He ends up on top, and he finishes with an Ezekiel choke from mount. Fun fight. Nothing too earth-shattering here, but good for Uran. We need some juice in the light heavyweight division. There's not really the deepest division. So to get a guy in here, a big dude from Team Alpha Male who can wrestle and strike, a nice addition to a somewhat weak weight class. Then we had what was 99% kind of a boring fight, and then a really fun finish between Su Youngyu and Rongzhu. I picked Su Youngyu. I'm glad he won because I thought he would win. He probably shouldn't have won this fight. The decision should have probably gone to Rongzhu. Su Youngyu was throwing, but he didn't land more strikes. He was moving forward, but he didn't have any success with the grappling. This is a fight between 2 grapplers, and they ended up mostly striking. If you check the stats, They said that Su Young Yu officially shot 4 takedowns. If you watch the fight, that's not really the case. Like, he lowers his level, touched the hips, then came up, went to the head. Like, he didn't fully commit to the takedowns. It seems like Long Zhao got a little bit screwed here. And he was the local guy. So kind of disappointing for him that his home country didn't go ahead and give him a close one. It was back and forth, lots of striking. Nothing crazy happened until the very end. They Max Holloway'd. They just went at it. And the craziest part about them going at it at the very end, just rock'em sock'em robots, is that Long Zhao was elbows. It was just elbow, 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 over and over and over and over. It was an awesome exchange, a ton of fun, and it kind of set the tone. Like, it's hard to get gassed up at 2 o'clock in the morning watching some of these fights. And obviously my time zone might not be your time zone, but you get the point. But watching that and seeing the crowd and the excitement here, it does translate through the TV. If this was at the Apex, oh my God, what a disaster. But the Chinese fans are spectacular. The Chinese fight fans are cheering for either fighter. They're just cheering when stuff happens. Like, they are great fans. I mean, if we could take the Chinese fans and put them in every arena for these fights, we're going to have some spectacular fight cards. So this fight wasn't very exciting for 14 minutes, but the last minute, absolute gold. Then we had Yizha just put the experiment that is taking your local IT nerd and throwing him into a cage, Westin Wilson. We're done with that experiment. We're done. Long, lanky karate bullshit doesn't work in the UFC. There's only 3 people that have ever been able to do it. Wonderboy Thompson, Michael Venom Page, and Lyoto Machida. Those are the only 3 people in the history of the thousands of people that fought in the UFC that have had any success with the karate bullshit. The fact that Westin Wilson came out with this ridiculously long, open karate stance just to get his face bashed in is insane to me. It's insane. On the ground, he can be kind of slick. He's a good grappler. He's so long on the ground that he makes it work, but to not get striking defense, and I get you have a background in something, and to then be an adult man and try to change your entire striking style isn't the easiest thing to do. But, like, fine, do the karate shit. Put your hand here. How about we put the hand all the way up? So, a minus 1,200 favorite knocked the dude out that was supposed to get knocked out. No real surprises here. I was just shocked at how bad Westin Wilson's stand-up was. Because up until this point, his 2 losses in the UFC were to absolute killers. Like Jean Silva, killer. Joe Anderson Brito, killer. Then he beat a bum. So we're like, all right, he's finally fighting somebody that isn't a killer, isn't a bum. Let's see. I mean, we saw. We got to be done. Like, for Westin Wilson, you achieved your dreams. You made it to the UFC. You actually got a win. You got to travel the world, but, like, we're done. We're done here, right? Like, you're going to go sell insurance. Like, get a real job. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. I don't understand. The 3 people I listed that have the successful karate style are all old. Okay, Lyoto Machida is full-blown retired. Wonderboy Thompson looks like he's 28. He's 42. MVP, 38 years old. They're old. So to have a younger kind of guy come in here with that same style is honestly a bit bizarre. Yizha looked good. I mean, he came in, he connected clean, he landed with power, he made something happen. So good for Yizha. Congratulations. Got a nice win. Tremendous favorite. No real surprises here. I thought there might have been a little bit of grappling, but how could there be when you're just standing there with your arms or your hips waiting to get punched in the mouth? Then we had the most frustrating fight of the night. This one was frustrating because there was a couple upsets top to bottom, and all of them were somewhat logical, and I'll step through those when we get to one. We haven't hit an upset just yet. All of them were pretty logical. This one was not. For Michel to get knocked out with a short check hook 38 seconds into a fight is crazy. That's crazy. Because Kyle Daukaus is not good. Like, if we go to the main event, Johnny Walker is the chinniest dude in the division, but he's not dog shit. He's just chinny. Kyle Daukaus is he's not very good. We've seen him in the UFC. They cut him because he wasn't good. And Michel is supposed to be good, but now he's on this 3-fight skid. And I don't know what's going on. He physically looked fine. So it's not like you could look at him and be like, oh, he looks soft. He hasn't been training. He hasn't been putting in the work. So I don't know if this was Michel just got caught in a tricky exchange in the pocket, which is basically what happened, or if this is Michel isn't who he used to be. Because his 2 losses before this were Anthony Hernandez. That dude might be fighting for a title soon. and Abus Magomedov. Doesn't suck. So his 2 losses were decent. But to lose to Kyle Daukaus, like, this is a bad loss. Some losses are better than others. This is a bad loss. So are we just done with Michel Pereira? Do we fully fade him forever? Ever since it came out that his wife thinks he's cheating on her and she's using Jacob's tweets as evidence that Michel Pereira is a cheater, ever since that, it has been downhill. Like, big time downhill. So I don't know what we do with Michel Pereira. But I also can't sit here and be like, Kyle Daukaus is back. Welcome back, Kyle Daukaus. Beautiful check right hook. He made it happen. I mean, genuinely, great job. Like, how could you... I mean, I just said he sucks. How could you say a guy sucks that won by knockout? But you get my point. We didn't really see much. So, beautiful, well-timed check right hook. This fight was 40... How long was it? 43 seconds. No real gauge of what's going on here. But I don't know what they do with Michel. They're not going to cut Michel, even though he's on a 3-fight skid. They're not going to cut him yet. What they might do is officially be done with him. Right? They might be like, okay, guess what? Here's a killer. We're just going to build names off of you from now on. That's what they might do. I don't know if he's a guy that they're going to say, let's build him back up. Let's give him an easy win, because this was that. This was supposed to be that. So they might just say, here's a young killer we just signed. Good luck with that. Let me know if you think Michel Pereira is fully washed, or if this was closer to, yeah, he ate like a really well-timed check hook while rushing it. Then we had a fun back and forth. Rongzhu and Austin Hubbard was a fun back and forth fight. I sat here and I said, Austin Hubbard does not suck as bad as everybody says he does. And I still stand by that. Austin Hubbard had success in this fight. People in the premium Discord, actually the Discord is 100% free, but premium members in the Discord in the premium only channel were tagging me saying, Austin Hubbard plus 3.5 is a plus money bet right now. And I almost did it. I almost pulled the trigger, and I'm glad I didn't, because one judge didn't see it that way. This seemed like a pretty clear 29-28 to me. Austin Hubbard definitely over the course of this fight won a single round, and it was somewhat competitive. A couple of takeaways. Austin Hubbard, we knew, was very, very tough. We knew that lately he's been wrestling a lot more, and he did that in this fight. We also knew Rongzhu was pretty good. He was better than I gave him credit for, though. He was lightning fast. His sprawls were there. He could be taken down, but he starts scrambling immediately, works back up. I think the speed was the biggest difference here. I don't think like, oh, Rongzhu's unbelievable. I think he is so fast that if the other skills are even remotely even, he's just that much faster to make stuff happen. He was throwing uppercuts before Austin was even able to lower his level. Great fight, ton of fun, back and forth. Both of them had moments of success. It felt like a 29-28. One judge said 30-27. No robbery here. I could confidently say pretty much every scorecard was, every winner was correct that went to the judges. Maybe there's a scorecard here or there. Don't make sense. But Austin Hubbard, nothing to hang his head about. He moved forward. He tried to fight. He shot takedowns. He made adjustments. Rongzhu was just literally too fast. Too fast, a little too clean. His hips were cleaned up, and he was fighting at home. So nice, fun fight to really like hit the meat of this fight card. Then we had the biggest upset of the card up until this point. It might be the biggest upset of the card total. I don't know who was a bigger dog, Charles Johnson or Johnny Walker, but this was a really fun fight that proved cardio is king. Because in the second round, Charles Johnson knocked out Loner Kavanagh. In the second round. In the first round, Charles Johnson was getting pieced up. He was getting pieced up. He got hit hard a few times, and it's bothering his eye, and he kept touching his eye because it bothered him. He was getting beat to the punch. He was getting out-wrestled. He was getting kind of pushed around a little bit. Like, Charles Johnson did not have a ton of success in the first round. Just didn't. But because he's a seasoned veteran, and he's smart with high fight IQ, he got to his corner. His corner's like, I need more activity from you, because he did start the first round busy and then dialed it back. And they said, I need more activity from you. And then in the second round, he picks up the activity a little bit. A couple more grappling type exchanges. Loner's still styling on him. Like, it didn't feel like the tides were turning. Loner was still styling on Charles Johnson. But Charles Johnson wasn't going anywhere. He's tough. He's durable. He's a gritty veteran. So he wasn't going anywhere. And he kept moving forward. He kept throwing. And Loner was getting tired. and had a false sense of security. It was a combination there because it's not like Lohner death gassed. We didn't get Jose Aldo in his last fight. That's not what happened. But we did get Lohner Kavanagh very clearly winning this fight. Then he started to slow down a bit, which at that pace, kind of understandable, especially with all of the wrestling that was introduced. But I think he had a false sense of confidence because he was clearly winning the fight. He was landing clean. He was doing, I don't want to say what he wanted, but he was having success. So now he's throwing, he's leaving exchanges with his hands down, not too worried about it, not stressed about anything coming his way. And because Charles Johnson is a dog, and because Charles Johnson is durable, and because Charles Johnson is unbelievably in shape, he keeps the pace. He keeps moving forward. There is no, oh, this isn't going my way, let me quit on myself, because he's mentally strong, he's physically strong, he's got the gas tank. So as Lohner's leaving exchanges with his hands down, Charles Johnson just fires one down the middle, boom, drops him. You can look at this dude's face right here. Look at the announcer's face. Just shocked. We all were, because it was like, oh my God. Boom, fires one down the middle, just lays out Lohner Kavanagh, goes to work. They stopped the fight right then and there. Charles Johnson, they kept calling him the prospect killer, and I wouldn't necessarily say that, but he is definitely one of the most underestimated guys in this division. If you look at his resume, it is a litany of undefeated guys or people on wild win streaks, young up and coming. So I guess you could call him the prospect killer, but some of these very good wins aren't necessarily hyped prospects. They're just unbelievably young, very good fighters that the UFC's thrown out there, and Charles Johnson is just knocking them down. So good for Charles Johnson. His back was against the wall. People on Twitter have been hating on him for weeks because, you know, the negativity on the internet. And it wasn't looking good early, and he made it happen. So Charles Johnson, absolutely fantastic. Great win. It just shows you hard work, being mentally strong. Because Charles Johnson was not the faster fighter. He was not the better athlete. He was not the more naturally gifted fighter, but he was the harder working fighter. He was in better shape. He never quit on himself. He didn't let up. He didn't make a mistake, and it ultimately worked out for him. Then we had a fun back and forth fight between Gage Young and Maheshate. And this was a fight that really could have gone either way. The decision probably seemed correct, giving it to Gage Young, but it could have gone either way because, first of all, Maheshate, tremendous. He was so much bigger in this fight, it was out of control. Absolutely humongous fighter. Humongous. And he was landing clean. That cut on Gage Young's face, that happened in the first couple of exchanges. And Gage Young got hit hard. That dude has a chin on him. He got hit hard. He got blasted. He was getting worked, but it was back and forth. Gage also landed clean a few times, but Gage turned into a full-blown wrestler. This is a kickboxer who turned into a wrestler. And you know what? Good for him. Good for him because there's another fighter in this card I'm going to criticize in a few minutes that made zero adjustments whatsoever. But Gage made the adjustments. He was getting hit pretty hard, and while he's got a good chin, you don't want that to happen, so he's getting hit pretty hard. He's bleeding a little bit, and he made the adjustments. He's like, I'm going to start wrestling. So he started wrestling, got some takedowns, had some success. He just locked in the second round. Things were not going his way at the end of the second round, but he got a takedown to sort of lock it in. So good for Gage Young. Definitely an interesting prospect to watch. He's got some things to clean up. Part of the issue here, complexion matters. This is going to sound stupid. Complexion matters. For him to be as ghost pale as he is, to be as Sam Patterson see-through white as he is, it will be a problem, and he's going to lose some close decisions because look how quickly he bloodied and got red. This is in the first round. This picture isn't from the third. This is in the first round, just immediately bloody, red, swollen. That will be an issue with closer type fights. But this one, luckily, there was a big grappling gap on the other side, and he exploited that. So Maheshate is tremendous. His cardio started to fade because he's tremendous. He needs to fix the wrestling holes, and good for Gage Young. Flying to the other side of planet Earth, having some success in the feet, adjusting, shooting takedowns, overall well-rounded young kid, got his first win in the UFC. Good for Gage Young. Then we had an absolute showcase, but also a couple of weird ref things going on here. We had Taiyilake Nueraji taking on Kiefer Crosbie. I came into this fight, if I didn't have my stupid rules around who gets put into a safety parlay and who doesn't, Nueraji would have been in there. But I was like, hey, UFC debut. We've been burned by those in the past. But this was a very confident pick because Not only did the tape say that Nueraji was good, but anything we have ever seen with our own eyes says Kiefer sucks. Kiefer sucks. He is the equivalent of a bar brawler. He's the modern day Tank Abbott. But what was interesting is he came in here, immediately turned into a grappler. Just immediately started grappling. He ate a front kick up the middle. I think it hit his body. And he was like, yeah, I'm wrestling. And he turned into a grappler. And that didn't work out for him because Nueraji's good on the ground. He's good on the feet. He absolutely dominated, beat the shit out of Kiefer, was close to finishing him. And then Kiefer's on one knee, and Nueraji throws the most illegal knee to the face you have ever seen in your life. This was the most illegal knee. There wasn't a fast exchange. There wasn't like, shit, as I threw it, no. This was a very illegal knee, and he had plenty of time for his brain to process, don't throw this, but he did anyway. Luckily for us, the fans, Kiefer's not a pussy. Is he a well-rounded mixed martial artist? No, God, no. Like, not even, can't even have a debate about it. But he's not a pussy. So he ate this big-time illegal knee, stood up, got pushed against the cage. They asked him, can you continue? He was like, yeah, I can continue. And he was pissed. He was annoyed. Of course, he just ate an illegal knee. Then the referee takes 2 full points. Ultimately, didn't matter. But I don't know if I've seen 2 points in one poll before. And if I have, I forgot. But it ultimately didn't matter because he got finished shortly after. But I understand. In the moment, I was like, 2 points, that's crazy. But I understood it because 1 point wouldn't have mattered. It was very clear Nueraji won that round. So losing 1 point wouldn't have mattered. It was probably a 10-8. So losing 1 point, Nueraji still wins that round and like accumulates points. So to take 2 makes it a dead round. So taking 2 points makes sense. And it was one of the most blatant fouls we've ever seen. But ultimately it did not matter because even with the adrenaline dump and the illegal knee, Nueraji just got back after it and then finished Kiefer Crosbie shortly after. I mean, Kiefer's 0-3 in the UFC now. He doesn't really belong here, but maybe the UFC does him a favor because he wasn't a pussy and because he went back out there. I honestly think they should. Thank you for not being a pussy. Thank you for not screwing up this hype prospect's debut. We'll give you another shot. So hopefully that's what they do. We got to learn how to say Nueraji's name because this dude's good. He's fun. He's exciting. He's got good striking, good grappling. He spins. He does all the things. Very good to watch. Then we had Kevin Borjas do absolute fuck all versus Sumudaerji. You know, when you watch some of these fights, you do your breakdowns, you do your picks, you have your own opinion of what you think will happen. None of us are geniuses, right? We don't know what's going to happen. We have our reads, and sometimes the reads go correctly, like they did in that last fight when I broke down Nueraji. Other times, crazy shit happens, like Charles Johnson landing that punch. But the read was right. The read was, Lohner's good. He's fast. He can wrestle. He can grapple. He can strike. All of that was accurate. He was very clearly winning that fight, and then he eats a big one. Okay, the read was correct. Sometimes the reads are wrong. This was closer to a wrong read than a right read because I did pick Kevin Borjas. I feel like most of you did as well. Kevin was a popular public dog. The reality is we all picked him, or at least me and whoever else did, because Kevin Borjas is a guy that we knew attacked. He moves forward. He throws. He stays busy. He gets in your face. But we got a Kevin that was shooting takedowns. I think he only landed 13 significant strikes in this entire fight. He was not getting after it. The desk was praising Kevin's corner because Kevin's corner was like, fight for your family. Do something. Get after it. The corner didn't even have advice. They were just telling him, fucking do something. Like, do something. Anything. Do something. And then the desk gave him praise for just being that open and honest. So kind of an unfortunate fight for Kevin Borjas and Kevin Borjas bettors because he did not at any point put himself in a position to win. So of course he threw some punches and he tried to make some stuff happen. And maybe it was because Sumudaerji is so long and he was busy and he was active as well. So maybe Kevin just didn't feel safe get going. But for Kevin to turn into a wrestler was a bit bizarre. Very bizarre, frankly. So Kevin Borjas wasn't able to pull this off. Sumudaerji gets the win. Kind of a clean, easy win. 30-27 across the board. Thank God. I bet on Kevin, so it doesn't matter what I'm about to say now. But I'll say thank God I didn't do the plus 3.5 because I would have put more money on the plus 3.5 because that felt safe. But Kevin had basically no success whatsoever in this fight. Good for Sumudaerji. Long, lean guy. His losses are pretty quality, so Seems like he's cleaning up the takedown defense, which means he should be able to have some success going forward. Now, this is the fight I'm going to get annoyed at. Last week, I made a ton of money at UFC 319. Made a ton of money at UFC 319. Almost everything went well. Except I said, I think Aaron Pico's going to win this fight. Aaron Pico got fucking smoked. And you guys ahead of time were very split on that pick. This week, that same pick that had everybody split that I was confident in was Waldo Cortes-Acosta. Because I go back, I watch the tape, and I see Sergei Pavlovich gets dotted up by a jab. Like, he just gets dotted up by a jab. If you stay busy, you stay in his face, he gets beat. And I've seen Waldo Cortes have a good jab. I knew for a fact Waldo wasn't getting knocked out. I was 100% sure Waldo was not getting knocked out. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. And then I was like, well, I know he's not going to get knocked out. I've seen how insanely tough and durable he is. And I know he's athletic. We watched him take down Robelis Disdain over and over and over. I've seen him throw out a good jab. I think he can win this fight. But that's not what we got, is it? We got a Waldo who wanted to back up and throw one punch at a time. One punch at a time. We got a Waldo who attempted 0 takedowns whatsoever. We got a Waldo who changed nothing. He changed nothing. If we go back a few fights where I talked about Gage Young, and congratulations, he's a striker who made adjustments mid-fight because the striking wasn't going as well as he wanted to, so he took some shots. Waldo Cortes-Acosta is not a striker. He's not a grappler. He's an MMA fighter, a mixed martial artist with no actual background who's learning all of the skills. And I've seen him we've seen him wrestle, we've seen him strike, we've seen him do all the things, and he didn't make any adjustments whatsoever. It was a somewhat competitive fight. Like, this was not an absolute blowout. But it was insanely frustrating because, okay, Sergei Pavlovich is landing big, and congratulations to you and your bloodline. You have an unbelievable chin, but you are getting hit. You're getting hit against the cage. How about we get off the fucking cage? Why don't you dive at Sergei Pavlovich's chicken legs? Do something. You attempted no takedowns in the first. An attempted takedown in the second might have been successful because nobody was expecting it. Even the third. I just hate when fighters are losing and they do literally nothing to better themselves. No adjustments whatsoever. That absolutely frustrates the shit out of me. Think about your job and what you do for a living. If things are not going well, if your boss is yelling at you because you're doing something wrong, do you just continue to make that exact same fucking mistake, or do you make some sort of adjustment? And it drives me nuts when fighters like Waldo, who have other skills. I can understand if you are the only thing you know how to do is kickbox. But that's not it. We've seen Waldo do other things. So let's start praising Sergei. He looked good. He pressured forward. He was landing clean. He didn't gas. He didn't panic, meaning he wasn't just chasing a wild knockout. Obviously, everything he throws is big, and he is kind of chasing knockouts, but it wasn't sloppy chasing. He stayed tight. He stayed clean. He didn't rush anything. He didn't force anything. Early on, there was a little bit of a grappling exchange, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, is Sergei going to look to do takedowns? And he didn't. He just stuck with the striking. He made adjustments because I assume he actually wanted to wrestle a little bit, but then he was landing clean a few times. Like, let me stick this out. So Sergei looked good. Number 3 in the world, keeps that position. I don't think he'll ever beat like a Tom Aspinall, but what I would love to see, let's get Sergei versus Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane is fighting at UFC 321. He is going to lose to Tom Aspinall. Let's do Sergei and Ciryl Gane. And then we could finally be done with Ciryl Gane because Sergei might actually get it done. It'll be tricky, though. And then we had the co-main event of the evening. Couple of takeaways from this fight. First of all, Brian Ortega missed weight because he's a fat, lazy piece of shit. And it wasn't the first time he's missed weight. He ruined the UFC 303 co-main event because he's a fat, lazy piece of shit who missed weight. And after that fight, he said, I'm moving to 155. But he didn't. And here he is in a co-main event at 145. But because he's a fat, lazy piece of shit, he misses weight. And we end up with a catch weight type fight. Fine. That's item number 1. Item number 2, this was a 3-round fight. And then for some reason, a few days before, Brian Ortega wants it to be a 5. They make it a 5. Makes no fucking sense to me. You're a fat, lazy piece of shit. Why are you trying to add rounds? Ultimately, he didn't look exhausted or like a fat, lazy piece of shit inside the fight, but he did look slow and bad. Those are the first 2 things. Third, Aljamain Sterling was a striker. was a straight up striker. What you're seeing right here is just like a step away check left hook, and he did that over and over and over. I think the first round, the stats were like 32 significant strikes to 2. Aljamain Sterling outstruck Brian Ortega. He then outgrappled Brian Ortega, but he outstruck Brian Ortega. This wasn't a remotely close fight in any capacity whatsoever. Aljamain Sterling dominated the striking. The very few grappling exchanges they had, he had all the success there as well. Aljo beat the shit out of Brian Ortega. We need to be done with Brian Ortega. What are we doing with him? He obviously doesn't respect us, because if he respected us, he would show up on weight. He doesn't respect us. He doesn't respect the UFC. He doesn't respect his opponents. To be that fucking heavy more than one time in a co-main event, he doesn't respect us. So why should we be respecting him? Now, he fights like a dog. He's not a pussy. He comes forward. He takes his beating. He throws his own punches. He tried to better himself in this fight. He didn't really go all in the wrestling, but honestly, he's probably too tired to do so. But he did start bombing away. Towards the end in the 5th round, he's throwing heavy, trying to make something happen. That's 3. 4. Herb Dean's a fucking terrible referee at this point. And it is crazy to see the decline of some of these refs and figures. We've seen the decline of Joe Rogan's commentary. If you have ears and you listen to a pay-per-view, you can hear what the hell has happened over there. Makes the commentary is getting bad on the Joe Rogan side. And now we're seeing the decline of some all-time referees. Herb Dean is a staple. He has been a staple since the early to mid 2000s. He has been, and the decline is nuts. And what I'm referencing here is Aljo throws, I forget if it was a left or a right, but whatever. He throws a punch. The knuckles land in the eye. Not an eye poke, the knuckles. And you know what? If Herb didn't see that, I could kind of understand, right? There's a lot going on. But he saw it. Because after that punch lands, Brian Ortega's like this, covering his eye. And Herb said, that was knuckle, keep fighting. That was knuckle, keep fighting. Correct thing to do. You're the referee. You saw that it was a punch. You saw that nothing illegal happened. You better keep fighting. And what do they tell these fighters in the beginning? Protect yourself at all times. But Brian Ortega did not protect himself. He just held his eye. He backed away a little bit. Aljo is too damn respectful. I mentioned Brian Ortega doesn't respect us at all. Aljo's too respectful. He gave space. He let Brian Ortega play this fucking fake eye poke game, and he gave him space. So then Herb Dean, because he has no control over the fight whatsoever and is apparently the most impressionable referee of all time, stop the action. Why are we stopping the action? There was nothing, no eye poke, nothing illegal happened. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? If Aljo wants to be respectful, that's his choice. But as the referee, no, we're fighting. Action. We're fighting, and let them fight. If Aldo wants to pull off the gas, that's his choice. Bad choice, but that's his choice. If Brian Ortega just wants to cover his eye like an idiot, fine. That's his choice. But at no point should the referee have done a timeout. Nothing happened to warrant a timeout. The mouthpiece didn't get knocked out. The finger didn't go in the eye. Nothing illegal happened. There was no safety concern whatsoever. At that point, if Herb Dean was going to stop it, fight's over. Fight's over. You're not willing to fight. You're just going to hold your eye back up. Well, then this fight's over. Call it. So Herb Dean's decline is bullshit. And that wasn't his only mistake. Later in the fight, Aljo's winning this fight. One of the most dominant Aljo performances we've ever seen. Literally. He's dominating this fight. He's slowing down a little bit. He's coasting a little in the 5th round. And we're getting Herb Dean like, action, let's go. Shut the fuck up, dude. Shut the fuck up. Action. You're making it sound like he's done nothing. This guy beat the brakes off of that dude for 23 minutes. Let him take a breath. He's backing up. And why is it on Aljo to run forward and throw chaotically and put himself in harm's way? It's on Brian Ortega to try to win this fight. That's Brian's problem, not Aljo's. I would understand if Aljo was losing a striking exchange, then got a desperate takedown and was just hanging out on top. You want to stand him up to give the other fighter a chance? Maybe. I'm not a big fan of intervening, but maybe. Dude, they're standing, and Brian Ortega's also not doing anything. So the decline of Herb Dean is bullshit. The good for Aljo, I was surprised how little he wrestled, considering how good he looked against Movsar Evloev. And it's not like he came in here, had some success striking, and said, oh, I don't need to wrestle. I'm good here. And obviously that may have happened, but it was clear he wasn't coming out to wrestle. He never at any point lowered his level. Like in the first, second round, he attempted no takedowns, didn't lower his level, nothing. Just stuck with the striking. And I am a bit surprised because, yes, we all understand Brian Ortega is dangerous on the ground, but so is Aljo. Aljo's a good grappler. And if I'm Aljo's coach, and he had a great performance, so there's no criticism here to make adjustments. If I'm Aljo's coach, going into this fight, especially after the weight miss, it would be, hey, you're a much better wrestler. You just went scramble for scramble, takedown for takedown with the best wrestler in this division. You are a much better wrestler. This dude just missed weight. Rumors were he needed an IV and he was in the hospital. I don't know if that's true. We got midgets on Twitter just making fucking shit up. But he's going to get tired. He barely could walk to the face-off. Let's wrestle him early. Let's tire this kid out. Let's put some pressure on him, wrestle him early, back him up, shoot some takedowns, just outwork him. Then you can take over. I'm just surprised that wasn't the game plan. Ultimately, it didn't matter because he beat the absolute shit out of Brian Ortega. I don't know what we do with him. I'll probably film bad takes with Joshua. What do we do with him? Because you can't really cut him. He's still good enough. At least he's enough of a name that you don't want to give the PFL the satisfaction. So I think you take Brian Ortega and you just give him the most undesirable matchups you possibly can. Give him just boring, no-name matchups that he's just going to lose and lose and lose. But they're not fun, exciting fights where he can... No, fuck him. Dude, missing weight that often is so fucking disrespectful. It's disrespectful to us. It's disrespectful to the promotion. It's disrespectful. It just is. And then we had the main event of the evening. The tides turned in this fight. Zhang Mingyang came out. He looked good. He was landing clean. Everything he threw had Johnny Walker like sort of backing up and wobbled. But the craziest part about this is not that Johnny Walker won. It's not crazy that a person with 20 fights at an insanely high level beat a young up-and-coming prospect. That's not crazy. What is crazy is the very first thing that happened was Johnny Walker comes running forward. Zhang has his hand out like, let's touch gloves. Johnny said, no, fuck you. Did he throw a flying knee like he did against Ankalaev? Nope. Did he throw a big right? Nope. He shot a takedown. And he's so god-awful at wrestling. That was his second takedown ever in his UFC career. He's so shitty at takedowns. He shot a takedown, and he ended up getting full mounted. He ended up in full mount. He shot the takedown. He ended up full mounted. Then Zhang works. They end up on their feet. Zhang wins the first round, but it was clear he was starting to breathe a little heavy and slow down. But he was still having success in the second round. The tides turned when Johnny Walker landed two really good calf kicks. He landed two phenomenal calf kicks. Zhang like, fuck. And then he fell to his back, and then that was just the end, right? They scrambled a little bit, bunch of punches, some elbows. I'm fine with how this ended. I'm totally fine with how it ended. But Johnny Walker hit Zhang in the back of the head like 5 times. Hard. But I'm fine with how this ended because I don't think that had a material impact. Like, I don't think it was, Zhang was going to recover, and then he ate the elbow to the back of the head, so now he's a mess, and that's why Johnny won. No, Johnny won because Zhang had no calf kick defense, his legs crumbled, and nothing was going to change here. So I'm glad, and maybe that's what was going through Mark Goddard's head, like, because he warned him, stop, watch the back of the head, and maybe you just take a point and let it continue. It's a weird spot. Ultimately, I don't think it mattered. Like, obviously, it's an illegal strike, but I don't think it mattered. Good for Johnny Walker. He literally saved his career. He was probably going to get cut. That guy hadn't won a fight in forever. 2 years. He just had not won a fight. A no contest, a bunch of losses. He's the chinniest guy in this division. So that's what was funny about shooting the takedown, because it's like, he's chinny as fuck. This guy hits hard, shoot a takedown. What I will say is, if the game plan was shoot takedowns to tire him out because we don't think he can fight long, then I'm okay with the game plan. If the game plan was, you're chinny, this guy hits hard, let's get this fight to the ground, that's the worst game plan. That's a stupid game plan. Because Mingyang Zhang is a grappler. He's been finding success with his hands, but he is a grappler. If you go watch his regional tape, he's shooting takedowns. He's out grappling people. He's finishing people. And Eric Nixick has literally said, I watch YouTube videos to listen to cappers. I don't know if you know this, Eric. Most cappers are fucking morons. Most of them just read bullshit off Tapology or just run with some random narrative. I think I'm the only person who sat here and said, Mingyang's a wrestler. He has tons of power and he's knocking people out, but this dude is a wrestler. Same thing I've always said about Nurgozhay. Nurgozhay Ruzaboyev is a wrestler. He's been knocking people out. He's got a great right hand, but that guy is a wrestler. So when I saw Johnny Walker come out with a grapple-heavy game plan, I was like, what a fucking dumbass game plan. But if I look at it objectively, if the game plan was, and they'll say this is what it was now, if the game plan was, this guy hasn't been to a second round since like 2018. Let's just get him to a second round. Shoot takedowns. Push him. Try to make him work, and we'll see where we end up after that. Then that's a good game plan. That makes sense. But let's keep in mind, Johnny Walker shot a takedown, and he was fully mounted within 30 seconds. Crazy stuff. This is overall a good fight card. I did not intend on waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch it. What happened is I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning to take a piss. And I looked at my phone and I was like, I tried to lay back down, close my eyes. I was like, fuck it, I can't. So I went to the guest room. I caught up on the fights I had missed. I think I missed 2. And then I watched the rest of this card. Overall, good fight card. It is hard to get hyped with as early as it was. Because it wasn't late. Like I know you UK fans have to stay up insanely late. It wasn't late. It was early. Waking up early just feels harder than staying up late. But either way, fun fight card, crazy fight card. The bets were all over the place. Guys, if you are looking forward to the UFC Paris Quick Picks video, it's up right now for YouTube members. It will be released to the public on the normal Saturday morning or Sunday morning timeline that I release every single Quick Pick video. But we've got a lot of people that have just clicked the little join button on our channel. They just clicked the join button. I want to support the boys. I appreciate the content. I want to support the guys. I don't really care about the bets and all that stuff, so let me just click join. I'll support the boys over here on YouTube. So there are times where I film videos early. I filmed the UFC Paris breakdown yesterday because I knew today was going to be a long day. I've got kids. They play sports. I knew today was going to be a long-ass day. Occasionally, I'll film the betting video a couple days ahead of time. The DraftKings, it all depends. But I said, you know what? We have all of these people who are just choosing to support us. So at the very least, if I have a video recorded and it's up, let's just give them early access. The UFC Paris video is up right now for YouTube members. If you're not a member, you can just click join to support the boys. If you don't want to, no big deal. It'll be released tomorrow morning, the normal time that it always is. Thank you for those that are choosing to support us over here on YouTube. If you want to support us on the website, go to wewantpicks.com. It's only $10. You unlock the absolute world. We do have an app. The app is 100% free. If you want to download that, you will get push notifications anytime we do anything. Inside the app and on the website, you have full access to all the tools. One of the tools is the tape index. The UFC, there's rumors that Fight Pass is moving over to ESPN. That would include the entire UFC library. It might also go over to Paramount. Or we might have a hybrid world where we have some videos on Paramount, some over on ESPN or what formerly was Fight Pass. And in that world, instead of digging and diving and searching the web to try to find old fights of fighters to do your research, we will have it all ready to go in the tape index. That's all it is. Lines everything up, full fight history on every fighter, who they beat, who they lost to, how. And if there's a red play button, you click the button, you can watch the video. We have a fight simulator, simulates fights 100,000 times, give you the output. We have an optimizer, which builds fantasy lineups for you, both DraftKings and FanDuel. We have a data analyzer. If you're a data nerd and you want to stack and filter data and move stuff around, this is by far the best tool in this space for your research. We have a line movement tracker, which will give you opening odds, current odds, win probability, and line movement for every fighter and every card. We have a prop hunter, which is a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. And we've got a whole bunch of other people, including Artem. I'm going to praise Artem. Artem just picked a perfect Contender Series card. And the funniest part about that is Artem put up his Contender Series video on our channel, on We Want Picks. And the next one will be up on Monday. And somebody was like, because this is what people do. If it's not a plus money bet, nobody wants to hear about it. If it's not an underdog pick, nobody wants to hear about it. And then you pick underdogs for the sake of picking underdogs. They lose, and they're like, ooh. So Artem, I think he picked 4 favorites and 1 dog. And people are like, oh, okay, good, great breakdown, 4 favorites, 1 dog. Guess what? He picked the perfect fucking card. Who cares if it's dogs or favorites? You care about winners and losers. And our regional Rain Man Artem is picking winners, not only on Contender Series, but all those regional cards. I call him Regional Rain Man because he's smoking that stuff. If you want to check everything out, it's $10 a month. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. Guys, I appreciate the watch. I don't know if you stuck around. I don't know if you just placed random bets and then went to bed and hoped you were winning when you woke up in the morning. Let me know. I'm curious who actually watched the card, who kind of ignored it. But we got UFC pairs coming up. We got UFC 320, UFC 321, UFC Perth, UFC Rio, UFC Vancouver. We got a bunch of spectacular fight cards coming up. Thanks for the watch. I appreciate every last one of you.